Hey everyone, for those of you who don't know, I'm Jer, and in this video I'm going to talk about being gay and being married to a woman, why, how, all of that, because after my last video where I talked about my son Christian, I had people asking questions, so start from the beginning and I'll kind of gradually go through those questions and answer them for you, but also answer them for Christian if he happens to see these videos. Hopefully he does. First off, the reason or how I met Christian's mom, I was stationed in Northern California at Bill Air Force Base. I was in the Air Force, electronic signals intelligence analyst. And had been in the Air Force for a little bit, a very short period of time, but for a little bit. And my mom and others were asking about my dating life, my romantic life, my love life. And I didn't have any answers. And I was in my early 20s at that point. And so I was like, you know what, I should date. I should start this. But at the same time, I am realizing that I am either bi or gay or on some spectrum of that and not just completely straight. And I feel like, to me, most people are in that spectrum and not just definitively straight or definitively gay. Like, there's at least curiosity in there. And so I was on the spectrum of more what I felt was gay, but I had never in my life growing up in Oklahoma had the opportunity to really have experiences with guys. I had, by that point, by the time I was in the Air Force, had met and gone on dates with females and experiences with females, with women. Sorry, I use females, and I know that there's issues with using female, and so I'm trying to change it to women, but I think that maybe there's even issues with women. Ladies, I had experience with ladies, and then, but nothing serious. It was always in high school or right after high school, and then I joined the Air Force. So in order to satisfy those people asking about my love life, I was like, I'm gonna try to start dating. So I got on I don't remember what the website was called, but then there was websites and there wasn't apps, or there was very few apps. I don't think apps were a thing at that point. Because mobile, that was 2004, whenever I joined the Air Force. It was about 2005 whenever I arrived in Northern California. And I don't think mobile was a huge thing yet. People didn't know what we were going to do with mobile. We knew we were going to do a lot with it, but it wasn't there yet. And we used computers. And so I got on a website, and it was a dating website. Wasn't Tinder. I don't think Tinder existed then. It was not OkCupid, although OkCupid may have existed then. I think it was called High Five. I may be wrong. This is taking up a lot of the story. Anyway, we got on a website. I got on a website, ended up seeing what would become Christian's mom. Thought she was very pretty. She's very attractive. And started talking to her. We talked for a little bit, and then we went on a date. And throughout the whole night on that date, we talked. And by the end of that night, I was like, hey, I got to tell you something before we do anything else, before we have any more dates. I am at least curious, most likely bi or gay, and I don't know yet. And the main reason I wanted to go on a date or start dating was because I wanted to be able to talk to my mom about my love life or talk to others about my love life and not have people questioning for me what I am, which is not how I should have been, but it was. That's the reality of it. So I told her that, and I said, I would love to see you more. You have a great personality. You're beautiful. But I want to go in that being honest. And she also needed to have somebody, not for that same reason. And again, I'm not going, like I talked about in the last video, I'm not going to tell her story. That's her story to tell. But it worked for both of us. And so we became friends, really good friends, and eventually got to the point where she was telling me that she wanted to join the Air Force, but she didn't want to be away from her family because she had grown up without having really her dad around much. And she was getting to have time finally with her dad and with her little brothers and her stepmom. And so, and the only way really to guarantee that she was going to be able to come back was for her to get married to somebody who was in the Air Force already stationed there. So I was like, yes, we can absolutely do that, because I'm going to be questioning this about myself for a long time, I can tell. And at that point, I couldn't get married to a guy, and I was in the Air Force, and I don't believe that Don't Ask, Don't Tell was over yet, which was a program that kind of stopped people from coming out and being gay in the military. And so I was like, yes, this is fine for me. We can be friends. It's more money because we'll be making you make basic allowance for housing, which is like money to like rent a place, and you have more freedoms that way. So I was all for it, and it helped her out, which was a big thing for me. I wanted to be able to help her out. She was my friend. Loved her to death in the way that you love a friend. More like family, but not romantic. It was never a romantic connection. But then so we decided to get married, and told her parents, which of course thought it was too soon, but we didn't come out with why. We just knew that getting her back to be with her family was the important thing. And of course I told my family, who also thought it was too soon, because it was very quick. It was within like 3 months. And for me it was important because I didn't know if I would ever be able to experience marrying somebody again. Because again, at that point, marriage for me as a gay man, if I was to eventually come out as gay, was not possible. And I didn't know if I was ever going to even be able to come out in a way that I'd be accepted. And even whenever I did come out much later, I was still not accepted. But later on, marriage became legal for same sex, and that's great. And so I know that there's a possibility of me getting married again in the future, which is exciting. And I'm happy because I don't feel subhuman in that. But getting married to Christian's mom, what would be eventually Christian's mom, was exciting for me because I didn't see myself ever getting married to a woman romantically, and I didn't ever see getting married. I didn't see that marriage was going to ever be legal for me. So I got to Christian's mom let me. I hope I don't mention her name. Because I don't want, like I said, I don't want to tell her story for her. And that's her own thing if she chooses to do that. But Christian's mom let me plan everything, and her parents paid for it. And I don't know why in all of that, because she didn't want anything to do with the planning, really. She didn't want much to do with any of it. And I just took over planning everything, and she let me, and I was very thankful for that. But I don't know why her parents and my family didn't catch on to the fact that I was planning everything, and that I was like, it was bad. And for me, And now, if I were to get married to a man, which would be the only possible scenario, I wouldn't want to even I would want to let him have the experience of us either planning it together or him planning most of it, because I would want him to have that if that's what he wanted. But it ended up being, we met in the summer, and by October, she had enlisted and was ready to go. And so we had like basically a shotgun wedding, but with people coming from all over, and my family came in, and they got to see me get married. And that was, it was something, to me, it was a gift that I could give them, that not that it's a gift for me to get married, or I'm God's gift, but anybody who would have wanted to see me get married had that opportunity. And I'm not embarrassed by that, even though it wasn't a romantic thing and something that was in love. It was still important, because it laid everything for her to be able to come back and spend time with her family, which was important to me. And then eventually us discussing having a child together. I wouldn't take that back. It was an event, an experience that I'm proud of and happy about still. Even with the outcome, I'm still happy that we were able to have that experience. Then she left for basic training. Then eventually came back after basic training and tech school, and was stationed in Northern California. And I was near the end of my term, coming up on the end of my term, and they were doing force reduction, and I volunteered for force reduction. We ended up discussing having a child together, and then we agreed that we may both be in the position to never really have the opportunity to have a child, either one of us, and it would be great to raise a child together, even if romantically it wasn't there, like that we could make it work, and that I could eventually have a husband or a partner, and she could eventually have a partner, and it would just be more love to share with that child. And so we did the deed. We planned it. And I don't want to talk too much, because I'll make another video about having Christian. But we planned it, and Christian was not a mistake by any means. I think that we could have waited longer and been more financially stable and ready for that, which we were not. But also, I think she wouldn't have been able to get out of the Air Force, which she wanted to do, because she decided it was not meant for her. Christian wasn't a mistake at all. Like, he was completely planned, minus the financial part of it, and that all ends up working out in the long run anyway. But yeah, that's a story of how I married a gay man married a woman. And then I'll do another video soon about the craziness but the amazing experience of having Christian and sharing that together. I'll probably do that in the next video or video after, but soon I'll do a video on that. Not that anybody cares, but I know that if Christian comes to my channel and watches videos, I want him to know these stories from me, and how excited and how amazing it was to have Christian and have him. And so, Christian, if you're watching, you were not a mistake. you were planned, and this is leading up to you being born. And I love you so much, and I miss you so, so much. You're everything. You really are. Okay, so I'm going to go now. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you soon.